Okay, Shalom, Shalaki. We had a little interruption there. You know how they do. Sometimes they doing all kinds of things like shadow banning and interrupting your your lessons and cutting them off. But it happens to the best of us and the rest of us and most of us, to us that's doing the teaching. But anyway, we're back and continuing with the lesson on. As I said before, everyone wants heaven, and no one wants to die to get it, all right, or to get there, all right. So we're gonna finish up. We were getting ready to go to the scripture when Paul was in the third heaven. So join me to go to 2 Corinthians, and we're gonna go to chapter 12. Okay, 2 Corinthians, and we're gonna go to chapter 12. All right, and this is good. This is a good lesson this is a good scripture and good chapter on what type of activity is giving in a good parabolic but true to form nature in terms of bringing the truth out about heaven and third heaven, what have you. Okay, all right, and it reads starting at the top. And it was not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord, of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua. I knew a man in Hamashiach about 14 years ago, whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell. Yahweh knoweth. Such an one caught up to the third heaven. Now, I want to go back for just a moment here to address something when it talks about, I knew a man in Hamashiach about 14 years ago, whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body. Okay, so you hear a lot of people talk about out of body experiences and what have you. All right, so now, at this point, we could be dealing with a form, we could be dealing with a form of transfiguration or translation of Paul at the time. But again, he also may have been put to sleep, and then his spirit was traveling at that time. A lot of times when you are asleep, you notice that your spirit doesn't sleep, so you dream and you do things and you're doing things, okay? So this could inevitably be a combination of the two that could be happening here, but we don't know for sure. We just have to go off of what the Bible tells us in reference to this, okay? He said, that's why he said, whether in the body, I cannot tell, or whether out of the body, I cannot tell. Only Yahweh knows. Because you know, it's a lot of times when you're asleep, you have seemingly out of body experiences in your dreams, and you can't tell whether you're in the body or out of the body. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, "Ooh, you're sweating," and you've been through it, and it's like, "Wow, I really went through that." So you have that kind of connection. All right. I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body. I cannot tell. Yahweh knoweth. Okay, that was verse 3. How that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words which it is not lawful for a man to utter. Okay, why is it unspeakable and not lawful for a man to utter? Well, first and foremost, it's unspeakable because there are things that you can't surmise that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai has done and is doing in creation as creation is continuing to develop. So they're unspeakable things to you because you wouldn't be able to understand the level of creation that is continuing. Our Father is the author and finisher of all creation, and he's not finished. He is creation in itself. He's consistently doing this. Why do you think things always come back that have seemingly been taken away? Because he's in the form of creating all the time. Okay, and then he says, why is it unlawful, which is it not lawful for a man to utter? Now, why? Because the law sometimes doesn't cover certain things that come up that would appear to be a situation that would tell you that there's something going on that you can't understand. So why would you try to express it? Okay, all right. All right. So now, okay. All right. 5. Of such and one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in my infirmities. Okay. 6. Now, why would he not glory in his infirmities? Well, because number one, he knows that at that point in time, what he's going through it's very much beyond his own fleshly understanding as well, and he can't glory in it because it's not of him to be able to understand it at this point in time. There's just some things that he's not given at this point to understand because his infirmities or his flesh isn't at that heightened level of intelligence to comprehend certain spiritual things in that point in time. Okay. 6. For though I would desire to glory, why would he desire to glory? Because he's seeing some things that could permeate a essence of feeling like you should glory in this because you're being privileged to experience and see this, right? Okay. For would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool. For I see, because he would be a fool to try to glory in something he can't truly understand at this moment. For I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. So in other words, don't raise your level of praise and worship on a man that exceeds what is necessary and given by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Don't do that, because there's some things that men just will not be able to comprehend because they're in a realm that only Yahweh Hashem Yahushai can explain. Okay? Yeah, the Holy Spirit will teach you all things, but you have not learned them all yet. You are still learning things. Everyone is. And if you're not, then there's a problem. Okay? All right. 7. And least should I be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelation. See, that's what I was just saying. There was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I would be exalted above measure. So Paul's also telling you right there. He says, look, the Most High's grace is sufficient for you. Don't get above yourself. Don't get so proud and get so arrogant that you believe that you have arrived and that you don't have to worry about doing anything anymore in reference to your offering and your sacrifice to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Don't go there. You're not supposed to be in that frame of mind. All right. Okay. Here's what I said. Lest I should be exalted above measure. 8. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, 3 times, that it might depart from me. In other words, Most High, sometimes what he will do is to keep you humble or help you stay humble. You will get something that is very fleshly designed to make sure you don't think higher of yourself than you do. I know I get it. I get it a lot. I feel like I might have a few, to be honest with you. Not just one. But I understand whatever the Most High designed for me to have to buffet me, that's what I accept. All praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. I praise and worship you, Father. Whatever it's going to take and whatever you have to do, I'm in your hands either way. All right. Okay. All right. So, and I'm getting ready to go there. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. Yeah, I was going right there. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Hamashiach may rest upon me. You see that? So, you know, that's humble. He says, most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, not in glory in the fact that you think that you've arrived or that you got so much knowledge or that so many men love you. No. You glory in your infirmities to know the Most High is telling you, I'm working with you, but you stay humble so I can get more things done with you, okay, and through you, all right? Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distress, for Hamashiach's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. See, that's what the lesson I did. Yahweh's humility was his strength, man. Come on, you got to get this, man. This is what we're talking about. Paul, let me read it again. Paul's telling you, he says here, therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses, for Hamashiach's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. 11. I am become a fool in glorifying ye, have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended for you, Shalaki, for you. For in nothing am I behind the very chiefest apostles, though I be nothing. So what he's telling you is he's behind the very chiefest apostles, right? Right? And okay. 12. Truly the signs of an apostle were brought among you in all patience, in signs and wonders and mighty deeds. For what is it wherein ye were inferior to other churches, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you? Forgive me this wrong. Now, when he's saying here, he said, for what is it wherein ye were inferior to other Israelites that were the congregation, not the building of people, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you. Forgive me this wrong. So he's repentive and he's humble. And this is what you're seeing in Paul. Now, none of us can hold a candle to him. So if he's doing this, what's your problem? Okay? Behold, the third time I am ready to come to you. I will not be burdensome to you, for I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. So Paul's saying, I'm coming to you to help you come out of your blindness that you have been separated from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, as you are his children, and you need to understand, as a parent bringing parental knowledge and edification to you, he's bringing you forward to the truth. Okay? All right? And I will very, very gladly spend and be spent for you, though the more abundantly I love you, the less I be loved. And that's very true, as you can see, as we show forth our edification and love and our admiration to all those that have come out in the truth and have been bringing the truth out in an accurate format. The more we love them, the less we are loved for the purpose we're doing that. Okay, but this is part of the lot we have. All right, but be it so. I did not burden you. Nevertheless, being crafty, I caught you with guile. In other words, all right. So what does he mean by that? But be it so, I did not burden you. Nevertheless, being crafty, I caught you with guile. In other words, he's making sure that he speaks in ways that are covert. Our Father, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, uses covert activity a lot of times. It's not him being evil. It's not him being, because he can't be evil or wicked. He uses covert activity to perform his processes because it's not written and given to everyone to know the understanding immediately in that fashion, just the elect. So when he caught you when he was being crafty, in other words, he was coming in and let's say, here's an example. Okay, he's dealing with a bunch of, let's say, Israelites that are, they've been swayed into the doctrines of men, okay? And the way they're swayed into the doctrines of men, they're following these practices and they're following these religious activities, but it's not conducive to their salvation or pleasing to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So he had to craftily come in and ask questions and do things in order to bring them to a point where he caught them. He says here, I caught you with guile. In other words, he used some of your own activities to make you feel he was on board with you, or he was as you were, but he was really trying to convert you and bring you to the truth. Okay, this is what he did to the people on Mars Hill. They were worshiping to an unknown God, but they had all these other gods around them. And Paul went in and told them, I'm down with you, but at the same time, I'm here representing the unknown God. So now they're like, what? Okay, so now they didn't know what was going on that one. Okay, 17. Did I make a gain of you by any of them whom I sent unto you? I desired Titus, and with him I sent a brother. Okay, did Titus make a gain of you? Walk we not in the same spirit? Wow. Walk we not in the same steps? See, so he's saying to you right off the bat here, he sent Titus in. Titus is kind of scoping out the situation, trying to see what's happening, what's going on here, right? He's going to report back to Paul, but he's saying, walk we not in the same spirit, walk we not in the same steps. Meaning, I'm trying to show you that the way you're walking and the way you should be walking, it's not the way I'm walking. It's different, okay? Okay. Paul's tight. He's real tight. I like the way Paul gets down. Okay. All right. Where we at? Okay. Okay. 19. Again, think ye that we excuse ourselves unto you? Question. We speak before Yahweh in Hamashiach, but we do all things dearly beloved for your edifying. For I fear lest when I come I shall not find you such as I would, and that I shall be found unto you such as ye would not, lest there be debates, envyings, rash, strifes, backbitings, whisperings, swellings, and tumults. See, all the stuff that you see a lot of the brothers who are in the truth getting involved in. You got a lot of camps, they like to debate all the time. I said it over and over again. The apostles don't debate people, okay? They'll conversate with you, but they ain't gonna debate you. And that's the truth. That's why they're accurate on what they're doing. You can't debate the Mashiach and you can't debate the word, okay? You can't debate Yahweh. How could you do that? He is the living word. You can't debate him, okay? You can't debate the situation, and you shouldn't be debating anyone that's not in the truth, because therefore what you're doing is you're casting your pearls before swine. Why? Don't do that. This is not for them. They're not slated for this. 147, Psalms 147. I show off my word to Jacob, my statutes and my judgments to Israel. I have not dealt so with any other nation. So stop talking to these people unless you're just doing it. And even if you're doing it for money, you don't monetize the Mashiach and Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It's just not what you're supposed to be doing. So stop debating people, and you're wasting time with that. You're not defending your faith. You're making money on the Mashiach, and that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You defend the faith by bringing the truth out, staying accurate with the truth, and making sure that that information is brought out. If anyone comes to you with any plantation Christianity crap or any other doctrines, just dismiss them and say, I am not dealing with you. If there's someone else there that needs to be edified in terms of what they're saying, when they leave, you can go ahead, if they stay around, and edify them with the truth about that doctrine that they were falsely talking about. And you tell them, but you don't try to do it while you're edifying someone and the bug out comes up to you and tries to say something. No, don't waste any time with that. Get the bug out the way, and then talk to the person that may be predestined to understand the truth. The bug outs are predestined to be bug outs. Don't get in debates with them, all right? Paul even told you that, all right? Envy and wrath, strifes, backbiting, whispering, and swelling, and tumults. Leave it alone. And Shalaki 21, and test when I come again by Yahweh will humble me among you. See? Humble him among you, and that I shall bewail many which have sinned already and have not repented of the uncleanness and fornication and lasciviousness which they have committed. So all of this was what Paul has experienced, but when he was in the third heaven, he was buffeted. He was explained that these activities were going on earth at the time, and in the realm that he was experiencing, looking at this is sort of like what we talk about if we get a chance to be on a chariot and we can look down and see all of what's going on, but we're not participating or down there in that. Okay, so that's very important to understand that. That's why I wanted to bring out that portion of the third heaven with Paul. Okay. All right. The next scripture I want to go to is I'm going to go to I'm going to do Revelation 21. Okay, let me get there. Revelation 21, 16 is what I'm looking for. Okay, all right, 16. All right. Revelation chapter 21, verse 16. And the city lieth foursquare, and the length is as large as a breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs, and the length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. So it was kind of trying to describe a large realm or portion of heaven, of heaven. Not all of it, because of course we know the Most High's heaven is vast beyond what we can imagine. But that was just a portion of a description of an area of heaven for the most part. Just wanted to make sure you understood that. I want to go to Philippians 3 and 21, and it reads, "Who shall charge our vile body that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself?" So Yahushua is letting you know that the Father's giving him charge to make sure that we are changed in a fashion that fits the location and the realm of heaven. Okay, this is very important to understand that. Because that's why he said, all right, he said, "Who shall change our vile body that it may be fashioned unto his glorious body according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself." So you have to be changed in that way in order to operate in heaven, just like flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. Okay, I'm going to pull something from Genesis. Sorry. Because I saw that there was a couple precepts that I wanted from there, and I'm going to go with Genesis 1 first, and 6 and 7, and it reads, "And Yahweh said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And then it says here on 7, "And Yahweh made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so." So what I'm trying to describe here is the fact that you had different levels of heaven. You had that terrestrial heaven, which was what we see when we go outside and we see this portion of heaven where so-called airplanes and different things fly in that point, right? And then you have a celestial heaven, right, where you have the moon, the sun, and various other things that are just above the firmament. And then you have the Lord's his total telestial heaven, which is in the realm that's his dimensions, that's way above and beyond. It's so vast, over and above this earthly plane and those levels of heaven. So you have that realm, and then within that realm you have all the rest, all the 7 levels. You have the other 4 levels of heaven that you will be operating in, if that is the case that the Yahweh Bashim Yahushua will allow you. Okay, that's his edification if he does. All right, we're going to go to Genesis, and I'm going to go to 28. All right, chapter 28 and 12, and it reads, and he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of Yahweh ascending and descending on it." Right? And so that was showing you, that was Jacob's ladder right there that they talked about, where the angels were descending in heaven. Now that ladder would be an indication of a formation of how the chariots operate in terms of bringing the spiritual entities in the bodies that are transfigured to and fro from the heavenly realms. Because as you notice, through the firmament and through various locations in heaven, the chariots can appear and disappear when they can pass right through those dimensional portals in those locations. So that's something that, of course, is beyond the understanding of most of the religious practitioners in the world, because they don't get that level of understanding from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Okay, now I want to go in here and bring information about the 3 levels of heaven. Now I'm going to pull some from Genesis 28 was where I pulled some there, when I went from Genesis 28 and 12, where you saw Jacob's ladder. And now I'm going to also go to Deuteronomy chapter 10. Okay, and I'm going to bring verse 14. "Behold, the heaven and the heavens of heavens is the Lord, is Yahweh's thy power, the earth also with all that there is." So you notice he said, "Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens." See, so you know there's multiple different levels of that. Okay. All right. Now the next verse I want to go to in chapter. I want to go to First Kings, and I'm going to bring in a precept from chapter 8 and 27, and it reads, "But will Yahweh indeed dwell on the earth? Question. Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house that I have builded?" Okay? See? So the Most High is letting you know, just like he says in Acts, you can't build a house that can hold him. It's not necessary because his heavens and his locations and his realms are beyond our understanding. Okay? And that's very important to understand in reference to Yahweh Hashem Shah. So, okay, again, I'm not going to hold this up too much longer because there could be a couple more parts to this if Yahweh Hashem Shah decides he wants me to bring them out. But what I'm trying to express to you from what the Most High is giving me was the fact that everyone wants heaven, but there's many levels of heaven. So what level do you believe you will occupy and be in? Do you believe you'll be in all of them? Or do you believe you'll be in one of them? Okay, when heaven is here on earth again, will all of the locations of heaven, all 7 of them, be completely open for your view in your participation in your occupation? Will they be that way? These are certain things that we prophesy in part and we know in part, because that part we don't know. Just think about it, because Yahweh Shai will be ruling on this earth with King David, and it will be heaven. Okay, so what about when you want to go from this heaven, when this earth is rejuvenated and brought back to its perfect state, and you go up? Can you see where you will be able to go through? Will we have our personal chariots? Will there be chariot transportation to go between earth, heaven, and the multiple heavens that you see, and heavens? Will that be the case? Okay. But see, the thing is, everyone wants heaven, but no one wants to die for it and get there. Okay. You're not going to be able to keep this particular flesh format and do that. That's not going to be possible. If you get beamed up by a chariot, it's more than likely to be in a chariot. You're going to have to be there in a spiritual body, not this flesh body, because this flesh body can't handle certain dimensional levels of heaven. It just can't do it. So therefore, that would not be possible. So you'd have to shed this skin in order to be in the chariot. Plus, you see chariots, and some of them are various different sizes. I mean, some of them are really small when they get closer to the earth, and some of them are huge. We don't know how big because we're just looking at it from a visual perspective that's being shown to us. But you would imagine a spirit doesn't have an issue with a confined space or a confined location. So, you want heaven, but you really don't know what level of heaven you qualify for, right? And whatever you do qualify for, are you willing to die for? This is what this lesson was brought to us about, to learn if that is the case. So what I'll tell you is there's still more to learn. The Spirit will bring more, and the Spirit will build more with you. But you have to praise and worship and pray and stay in the faith and practice the righteous acts and have faith in Hamashiach Yahushua. And without that, how is it possible for you to get heaven? And how are you able to pay for it without the sacrifice of shedding his flesh? And on that note, I guess this will be the end of this lesson. And I guess, do we have the next one? Shalom.